Hello, my name is Nollaig O'Sullivan and I'm a performance psychologist. So there's very little doubt that probably one of the easiest and the most convenient ways to exercise is simply just to go outside your front door and be physically active, whether that's walking or running or cycling. And we know from the research that there's this positive link of physical activity with our physical and our mental health, that it is a well-established fact. And the benefits of physical activity are many and varied. But if we combine this physical activity to be in nature, what benefits can we see? So there's this growing body of research to indicate that there is a lot of psychological and physical benefits that can be accrued by those who exercise outdoors in the natural environment under the banner of green exercise. A key thing here is don't be alarmed. It's not a need for you to go off and do high intensity exercises or long endurance exercises to reap these benefits. These benefits of being active outdoors or any type of exercise outdoors, you'll be very surprised to hear as we talk through this talk today that we can gain it in a short period of time. So a short period of time we can gain these psychological benefits as well. So we'll talk about that today. So what is green exercise? So green exercise refers to the positive physiological and psychological benefits of taking part in physical activity in the natural environment. So whether that is forest walks, woodlands, parks, greenways, or even fields. So it includes a variety of activities. So you could be gardening, cycling, walking, horse riding, even walking the dog. All of these can have benefits of exercising outdoors in nature. There is now evidence that getting out in nature to clear our heads is not just this nice idea, but that it can actually really work, and that the potential benefits that a nature walk or being in nature has on our mental health go beyond simply feeling better. It is actually shown to improve our mental health, our physical health, and even impact cognitive function as well. So you might ask, well, why is it so beneficial? Well, there is good evidence that viewing, being in, and interacting with the natural environment has positive effects on us, from reducing stress, reducing tension, and anxiety as well. When we look at the research around this, again, the research shows that it increases the ability to cope with stress. It reduces mental fatigue. It improves our concentration. It improves our cognitive function. So cognitive is just a fancy word for thoughts as well. So we know that it can improve concentration and cognitive function. So green exercise can also be seen to increase our well-being, our energy levels. It's also been shown to increase our self-esteem. But overall, kind of it causes a greater feeling of revitalization as well. So in this little bite-sized clip, I want to kind of explore green exercise a little bit more with you. And when we look at the research around it, even the physiological effects are highlighted as well. We can see that it significantly enhances human immune function. As I spoke about earlier on, it reduces levels of stress hormones in our bodies as well. On top of that, we have the added benefits of engaging in physical activity outdoors, which obviously we can gain that vitamin D, which is unavailable for indoor activities. So this is the exposure to sunlight for that sufficient vitamin D levels. So when we look at outdoor light, obviously outdoor light is the most powerful. And when we look at the research around it, when we look at light is measured in lux. So let's say that we go out on a really sunny day. We can be exposed to anything from 10,000 to 20,000 lux. So great, isn't it? You know, we're getting plenty of that vitamin D. If we go out on a cloudy day, we're only exposed to 5,000 lux, which isn't as high, but if we stay indoors all day, we're inside surrounded by brick walls, this exposure to lux falls to just 200 to 400 lux. So even on the cloudiest of days, we are getting more lux than sitting indoors as well. So again, another benefit of exercising outdoors is getting that vitamin D. And as I always say to people, even on the cloudiest days, it's important that we get out and get into nature as well. Some of the big research around green exercise is the impact of stress and green exercise. And I suppose our world is getting a lot busier. Our stress levels are on the rise. We might have less time available for physical activity. But if we actually dedicate time each week to exercising outdoors, it has been shown to alleviate stress, and maybe it can help alleviate stress on your busy days, and it might look at improving your mental well-being and your self-esteem. And you might ask, well, why is it that being in nature can stop this stress or alleviate some of this stress for us? Well, the natural environment, when we're in the natural environment, it's constantly changing. So when we exercise outdoors, the weather, the temperature, the terrain, all of these are things that are constantly changing. And they're all factors that are outside of our control. And our minds require a great deal of mental focus to adjust to these subtle changes. And as a result, we actually receive a temporary break from daily stresses to focus in on our natural environment as well. So you might kind of look at, okay, well, what are other benefits? Why should I exercise outdoors? So I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of exercising outdoors, especially in building in around a fitness regime as well, because it was found that people who exercise outdoors on a regular basis had higher levels of serotonin. So serotonin is a hormone that regulates mood. And they found that people who exercise outdoors had a higher level of serotonin versus those people who exercise indoors. Also, it was found that people who exercised outdoors had higher levels of endorphins. So endorphins is that post-exercise rush that occurs after exercising. So again, they found that there was a higher levels of endorphins when people exercised outside, especially in green environments. So if one of the reasons you're moving and you're exercising in the first place is to improve your mood and your mental health, then exercising outdoors can really, really benefit you as well. Other interesting information that came from studies is perceived effort. So I suppose another draw towards green exercise is that there's evidence to suggest that exercise can feel easier when we perform it in the natural environment. Okay, so it suggests that exercise might feel easier when performed in the natural environment. It was found that individuals tended to walk faster outdoors versus indoors. They also felt that the exercise to be less demanding when performed in the natural environment. So when they looked at this during the walking outdoors, individuals tended to walk faster, they worked harder, but they said that it felt it was easier compared to indoors. So easier compared to, I suppose, indoor treadmill-based walking. So they felt overall, that the exercise felt easier. So they felt that when they looked at the exercise, that it was easier when they performed it in the natural environment as well. So I suppose a key thing to look at here is maybe it's down to the natural landscapes, that the natural landscapes simply provide us with more interesting things to view. Maybe the visual distraction decreases our rate of perceived effort, and in turn, when we look at the research around this, it allows us to train harder and for longer periods of time as well. Also, to finish up on the benefits of green exercise, especially when it comes to fitness regimes, is that we know from the research that it is shown to have higher levels of enjoyment. So when you compare indoor versus outdoor walks, people found a higher level of enjoyment more positive emotions after outdoor walks. And it's found also that those who incorporate outdoor exercises into their fitness regime have better adherence to their exercise programs as well. So again, another win for us as well. So when we look at, I suppose, when you create a fitness regime and you want to stick to have better adherence to this exercise program, then building in exercise in nature. And it's not about ditching the gym or not keeping up your fitness regime in the gym, but maybe break it up and go, okay, well, what are maybe 1 or 2 days in the week that I can build in this exercise outdoors as well. So again, a lot of benefits around it. So when we look at green exercise is a relatively new area. It's kind of around maybe about 15 years. So when we look at 15 years, that's quite short in terms of research. But green exercises actually came about from a term in Japan called Shinrin-yoku. So Shinrin-yoku is Japanese for forest bathing. So Shinrin-yoku means forest bathing. So forest bathing is a little bit different than the green exercise. So green exercise is you're going out, you're being physically active in nature. When we look at forest bathing is where you go into a forest at a more slow and meditative pace. So you're looking at, okay, what are the different things that I can see? What are the things that I can hear? So you're really immersing yourself within that forest as well. So again, the research is similar to the green exercise on this, that it can reduce stress, it can increase well-being, it can have physiological and psychological benefits for us as well. So as I always say to people, when you go into a forest walk, sit. You build in a grounding exercise. So a simple grounding exercise that you can build in is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise. So sitting in nature, sitting in a forest, what's 5 things that I can see? What's 4 things that I can hear? What's 3 things that I can smell? What's 2 things that I can taste? So bringing in all 5 of your senses. And you know, when it comes to the taste part, don't go off eating any poisonous berries or anything like that. But if you find it difficult to use that sense of the taste, then look at changing it to, well, what's 1 feeling that I have? So build in your 5 senses. So what's 5 things that I can see? What's 4 things that I can hear? What's 3 things that I can touch? What's 2 things that I can smell? And what's 1 thing that I can maybe taste? Or what's 1 emotion that I'm feeling as well? And what that is doing is it's grounding you and bringing you into that present moment and enjoying that forest bathing experience a little bit more as well. So when we look at forest bathing, when we look at green exercise, again, people ask, well, how long do I need to do this? Do I need to spend an hour or 2 hours exercising? Well, actually, the research shows that just 15 minutes out in nature, whether that's the forest, whether that's woodlands, whether that's parks, can have psychological benefits. Obviously, the longer we spend out in nature, the more benefits that it's going to have. But in particular, the first 15 minutes, we can see that it can increase concentration levels and increase creativity levels as well. So when we look at getting into nature, we can see so many benefits from us as well. And sometimes when we're out in nature, we have our watches on and we're looking at the time and we're trying to beat our personal PB. But actually sometimes what we should do is just stop and be in the moment as well. And as you can see the background here, the green exercise as well, that even having on your desktop, having images of green and of forest can actually reap psychological benefits as well. So when it comes to being physically active, what is something that you could add in today to build in the benefits of green exercise as well? Because from today you can see that we can reap a lot of psychological benefits. We can enjoy it, we can have better endurance, we release more endorphins and that lovely hormone serotonin as well. So hopefully today you can get out into nature. Remember, even if it's a cloudy day, that we can still get a lot of that vitamin D. So thanks very much. Bye now.